Welcome to IADS Retail Park, the official podcast of the International Association of Department Stores. I'm Maya, and here we explore how department stores and retailers worldwide are evolving through innovation, strategy, and often complete reinvention.
And I'm Christine, Head of Markets and Events at the IADS. Here is a quick reminder before we start. This podcast uses AI-generated voices, guided by human oversight to ensure the stories and ideas you hear are spot on.
Now, Christine, I had the chance to dive into your recent exclusive for IADS, and I have to say, it's packed with insights I hadn't considered before. You looked at how shared capitalism is playing out in retail, right? I think this idea is super timely, especially with younger workers expecting not just a paycheck, but some kind of purpose and equity in their roles.
Exactly, Maya. That shift in mindset is fueling interest in alternative ownership models, ways for employees and sometimes even consumers to be more than just participants. It's about giving them ownership in every sense of the word.
So let's start with a major one, John Lewis Partnership. They've been doing this for a long time, but for those who aren't familiar, what sets their structure apart from traditional corporate models?
Well, John Lewis is really the blueprint for what we'd call a partnership model. Every single employee becomes a partner, not in a symbolic way, but through a trust that owns the entire business on their behalf. There are no shares they can cash out or pass on, but as long as someone works there, they're a co-owner. And because it's trust-owned, there are no external shareholders pressuring the company to maximize returns each quarter.
That's already a fundamental shift from how most companies operate. But I'm curious, how involved are these partners in day-to-day decisions or strategy? Do they actually have influence?
Yes, of course. Their influence happens through multiple layers. There is a partnership council, which is made up of elected employee representatives who can vote on major governance issues, like appointing or even removing board members. Then you've got local forums that feed upwards, so employees in stores can voice concerns and ideas. There's even an annual vote of confidence on leadership. What you're seeing is a real structure of democratic governance, not just a suggestion box.
That's pretty robust. But at the same time, they're operating in a very tough retail environment. No shareholders demanding short-term profits sounds great, but what happens when the company's facing losses or needs to make brutal calls?
Well, that's where the real tension comes in. Just this year, they kept the company-wide partnership bonus frozen. Again. Instead, they shifted their financial focus to regular monthly pay increases, investing £114 million directly into wages. So it's not all rainbows. Being more ethical also means facing harder choices when margins are tight.
Now, from one end of the spectrum to another, let's move on and talk about Walmart. They use a different kind of employee ownership through their associate stock purchase plan. Can you break down how that works?
Sure. Walmart's ASPP lets employees buy company stock directly from their paychecks, and the company matches 15% of what they contribute. So there's financial upside there, and employees who own stock can vote on shareholder issues like board elections or environmental proposals. This helped consumers understand exactly what impact their purchase decisions were making.
Ah, okay, I see. Well, that's an interesting approach. But is participation high?
Not really. Only about 25% of their workforce opts in. So, yes, while the opportunity exists, a lot of employees don't actually take it. There are likely lots of reasons for this: lack of information, financial constraints, or even skepticism over whether it makes a difference. And unlike John Lewis, Walmart doesn't give any structural power to employees on the board or in governance.
So the ownership feels more like a financial product than a cultural one, right? Only you put in money, maybe you get some return, but you're not shaping the company's future.
Yes, that's right, Maya. It's aligned with shareholder capitalism. Less about engagement, more about incentivizing employees financially.
What about Système U in France? This is one I didn't know much about before reading your exclusive, but it's quite a convincing model. Could you explain how their ownership structure differs?
Système U is a retail federation made up of independently owned stores. Each owner runs their store, but they're also part of a national cooperative, so they get decision-making rights in the larger organization. One vote per owner, no matter how many stores they operate. It's not about employees or customers owning the company. It's about business owners coming together under shared principles.
So it gives them a lot of autonomy, but still keeps them unified. How do they make decisions at scale when so many independent voices are in the mix?
They do this through general assemblies and smaller committees. Strategy, marketing, and even new member approvals get discussed and voted on. This keeps the cooperative nimble but grounded in consensus. And because each owner has direct skin in the game, there's a big incentive to collaborate.
Now, REI might be the most consumer-friendly version. You buy a $30 membership and you actually become a co-owner of the brand. How does that change the relationship between REI and its customers?
It changes everything. Members vote on the board, earn rewards based on spending, and have a say in the brand's direction. REI builds community by turning customers into stakeholders. They also invest heavily in sustainability and employee benefits to reflect their member values.
But they've taken a hit recently, haven't they?
Yes. In 2023, REI posted a $311 million loss after a decade of decent momentum that really challenged their ability to keep delivering on perks like member dividends and generous employee bonuses. They've had layoffs and internal backlash too. Employees have protested policies they feel go against the company's mission.
The ask me about my pay cut pins come to mind. There's clearly some disconnect between REI's image and the internal experience right now.
For sure, Maya. Now, the big lesson there, even community ownership doesn't insulate a company from financial or cultural friction.
Looking at all four examples, John Lewis, Walmart, Système U, and REI, it's clear that ownership models are more than a structural choice. They carry big cultural weight. So for companies exploring shared capitalism, where should they start?
Start by getting clear on the why. If it's about engagement, you need governance structures that make people feel heard. If it's about wealth building, offer accessible and meaningful financial participation. But above all, a model has to evolve with the business. What worked 10 years ago might need rethinking today.
It also sounds like no model is bulletproof. Shared capitalism requires constant balancing between idealism and profitability, between giving a voice and keeping decision-making efficient.
Yeah, that's the key. Employees and customers are more invested when they have skin in the game. But the bigger challenge is turning structures into relationships that last, especially when the market tests them.
Christine, thanks so much for breaking that all down and giving us a bit of a sneak peek into your exclusive. If you want to dive deeper into Christine's full article on shared capitalism in retail, you can find the link in the episode description.
And follow us over on LinkedIn at International Association of Department Stores, IADS, for more updates and case studies. You can also check out our Substack for weekly deep dives and strategic briefs.
We'll be back soon with more insights from the ever-evolving world of retail. Until then, stay curious and maybe think about what stake you really have in the businesses you support or work for.